She got so into the music that she keeps forgetting to ring the bell.
I know, I love that music. I love our intro. We do.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Snoopy and Spoopy Hour. That's
Yes.
a new name for it. Today, though, we are joined by a very special guest. You guys have heard me rant and rave about this person in our last two podcasts, but I'm
No
here
ranting.
with, yes, ranting and raving. A lot of
Only
And raving.
and raving. There's a lot of
But like Unsa or
so many glow sticks. So many.
Rave.
Okay, we're raving right now.
So anyway, joining us today for this podcast is Bonnie, aka Siren Song 2.0. So we figured, it was about time, I talk about her constantly. Let's bring her on. And she's going to we're going to delve into kind of discussing the Skinwalker Ranch and all the fun stuff that goes on there and all the things that, we're going to get her opinion on it and her thoughts and on if this is a dude ranch that we can all go take a vacation to.
Ooh.
Yeah, the in 2016 a real big real estate company bought it, and I think that was their intention, was to like make it some kind of destination place. I'm not really sure that the powers that be, and that be probably aliens or something, are going to want all that. So, Skinwalker Ranch. What is the Skinwalker Ranch? Well,
a fucking cesspool of fucking weird shit.
Oh, sounds like my kind of shit.
it is. It definitely is. And so it goes back to, actually, it's been owned since 1934. But before that, well, let me tell you where it is. It's in Utah, folks. And it's in the, I'm gonna say it right, the Uinta Basin.
Well, if your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah. I heard it so much, but they pronounce, it depends on who's saying it. They pronounce it differently.
Depends on how you say it.
Yes. And they have, it's over 500 acres, about 512.
Wow.
Yes, it's huge.
Sounds like more than a one-day kind of deal.
Yes. And probably not at night, because I think that's when the freaks come out.
Oh, no, definitely not at night.
Oh, no, absolutely
Not unless you want comedy gold, and I will be screaming
That's when all the fun
like
things
a
happen.
3-year-old toddler.
I mean, I will too. You'll just see me fucking booking ass across the fucking field, hiding it the entire way.
I'm sorry.
Feel attacked.
You're loved and supported. It's okay.
So I will say, giving a shout out to a couple of my resources, which were the Hunt for the Skinwalker movie from 2018 and the currently running series, The Secret of the Skinwalker, which is really super interesting. And so the cool thing, here we go again with the glasses, because I can't stand it. I can't read my notes without it.
Too, so that way
we're all wearing glasses.
There we go. Okay, we're all together now. So the series started in 2020, and it's currently filming its third series, I believe. But you can catch the first two on Hulu. We're not paid, but still, that's where you can find it. Both of those, actually, the movie and the series. And so it's super cool. Okay, so it goes back many years. Like probably at least the mid to late 1800s.
Ooh, Victorian era?
There are talk of something being there, mostly from the Native Americans, mostly the Hopi, the Navajo, and the Ute is the tribe that still lives around that property today. Quite a bit of the stories are told by locals, because it's not really just segregated only to that 500 acres. Things happen to neighbors see things. The stories are just phenomenal. Almost to, if it's not paranormal, then it's got to be biological in some way to that area in the water or something.
But here's the thing about the place, though, is that literally every single thing that we investigate paranormal wise, whether it be the UAPs, alien life forms, ghosts, poltergeists, cryptids, every single one of these things, like, it happens here. Like, it is like some type of just center point of all of this activity. Like, there's nowhere that you can go on this property that you're not going to not see shit. Something's going to happen to you.
Yes.
You're going to get chased by something. Something's going to abduct you, or something invisible is going to throw shit at you.
Can I opt out of this vacation?
Absolutely not.
It's fun. All the cool kids are doing it.
It'll be fine as long as it's not my kids. I'm not going to do anything chasing me that's not them.
I accept it wholeheartedly.
But, so where does Skinwalker come from? Well, several Native Americans have something like a Skinwalker in their historical lore, so to speak. They say that it's like, some call it like a witch doctor gone wrong, right? A shaman gone wrong. I'm not really sure that I buy that, but the way that it comes to that area is that the tribes got along well. I mean, they fought for land, whatever, but then came a time where they decided, the Ute tribe decided that they were going to start taking Navajo children and women and selling them off to the settlers and other smaller tribes in the area as slaves. So the Navajo got really angry about that, and they cursed the land. And by that is where they think that it's the Skinwalker that is the curse. They're said to be
something to do that. So if it only takes one person, one rebellious person, or one person who's not informed to, try and do something, and whether it be, summoning something or what have you. And then it opens the door.
Right.
And it's entirely possible that, that it was cursed and the intention set forth by that.
So my understanding
it's pretty
here
powerful.
is basically,
especially if it's a whole tribe,
the Navajo summoned Pumpkinhead.
But not Pumpkinhead. It's more like what's his name? Why can't I think of his name? Anyway, a wolf with blades for fingers and scariness. Not. I was gonna say Freddy, but I was thinking more along the lines of X-Men.
Wolverine?
Yes. Wolverine, but furrier and not as cute, and not Hugh Jackman, and wreaking havoc on...
Hugh Jackman's up there. I'll be up there.
Right? We're like, okay, bring on the Skinwalker.
Does you girls have that moment?
So if you look in the Googles at pictures, right, it's like some of them, and they show them too, some pictures in this series, they kind of have like, it's like a headdress almost that comes down over into like a snout, and it looks very human. It's a native with this kind of ceremonial stuff on. And so that's where it came from. Now, it was owned by the Myers family from 1934 to 1994. And you don't really hear a lot about them. And the one thing I did find was that they said they never experienced anything. I don't know. My other thought on that is
they're lying.
They're denying and lying. Or the big thing that everyone says when you watch these documentaries and you read and all this is that when new people come to the ranch, it brings out the boogeyman, so to speak. Things literally start going crazy. And so in 1994, Terry and Gwen Sherman owned the ranch for a total of 18 months. They,
Not
or I
so
should
long.
say, they lived there for a total of 18 months.
Yeah.
And that is when the things started getting documented some and really going haywire. The cattle mutilations, that's like one of the biggest known things there and here's what kills me, right? There's no blood. There is zero blood. Like,
Oh, absolutely
if
not.
there
Like, it's completely mutilated and there's no signs of an attack whatsoever except for a mutilated body. That's pretty much it.
completely gutted a calf, completely gutted, whole thing just torn apart in like no time at all. I think that they tagged their farmers. They wanted to raise like fancy cows and stuff, right? So they tag this calf. The mom is going nuts and the dogs are barking and they're like, what is all this noise? So they go back down and literally, and it's like 30 minutes. I mean, it's like no time at all from when they tag it to when they go back down. And it's just gutted. And there's no footprints. There's no blood, zero. But it's just been completely gutted. And the ear that they tagged it, cut off.
So I'm curious, are there any theories on like, like debunking kind of things? Like, are there any kind of theories on it?
Well, so they have at that time, they brought a vet and a couple other people to look at the carcass. And they all say that it had to be done with precision. Like, it looked like from the cuts that it was very precise. And also that they said that you would need something mechanical, something metal to make the notches that were in the bones that were left to get through the ribs. Like,
so like it was done by somebody who was educated and professional with it.
Yes.
That would be the response to just looking at it. Because like even with like, the way that they found the ribs and all that stuff, it's basically like they came down to the conclusion that no animal could do this, no human could do this without, some proper tool or anything like that. And then it would have to be mechanical. In the sense, one, they never heard anything, and there was no blood trail, there was no footprints or anything left.
I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but that really sounds like a cover-up. Especially in today's climate, like it really does sound like a cover-up. I mean, cover-up
now,
for that.
But now
maybe they saw something they couldn't explain. This is in the 90s?
This was in the 90s, yeah. Mid-90s.
Well, universal the consciousness is definitely elevated in this day, like this decade, for sure.
Correct.
But definitely, I mean, I don't know. That's crazy.
It's weird. It's
That's
absolutely
so wild.
weird. Like, if it was a person, then they were highly skilled.
What is that? It's almost like Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, but they have a vendetta against cows.
Well, right. And why is it always cows? Now, let me just tell you that I'll try not to bounce around too much, but the newer guys that are there, right? They put some cows out. They got a cow mutilated right in the middle of one of the pastures. And what was interesting is that usually they say when they have an animal die, they kind of leave it to nature. They take it out to a far part of the ranch and
let nature take its course.
Yes. They let this cow's body lay there for over a year and not a single thing touched it. No.
That makes me think they knew something and they couldn't explain it, but they were not about to mess with it.
Yeah, but a lot of times they usually, because the animals obviously have a higher keen sense and all that stuff, and even like with smell, Like if that's a standpoint too, is if like, you know, for any reason, like, you know, the animal has been diseased or anything like that, an animal's going to be able to, like a predator is going to be able to pick up.
Is there any documentation? Sorry, is there any documentation that they closed off the area where it was?
Yes, and actually,
okay,
you see when they investigate it, and the one ranch, the like manager of the ranch is like, we're gonna close off all these areas leading up to this body, and so really only certain things would be able to get to it because of the fencing and things. You know, basically critters, bugs. But and what they also said was that so this is the cool thing, right? They put up cameras. And so then they watch the behavior. And what you see is the rest of the herd is like, oh, damn. And they just start running away from this area.
Oh,
and then this,
damn! Get the fuck out of here!
And then,
dealing with this shit today.
and then this poor little cow is like, oh, I don't know where to go. Oh, and then you see its body go like, boom, like, boom, right on the ground. Crazy shit.
I mean, this is entirely possible.
So right, and there's like, there's no. It's not like you see a clear animal come get it or a clear person come get it. You see like this weird. It's not a shadow figure, but I guess you could kind of call it a shadow figure because it's not super dark, but it's like a light shadow figure, like around the cow, and it's like
that's racist.
Boom.
That's racist.
It is.
I said light shadow figure. Thank you, not white. But then
shadow figure is a shadow figure, right?
But let me just tell you. Let me just tell you.
Oh God, that's the worst. Sorry, continue.
That's okay. So they look at a different camera that shows like a wider view of this whole area. There's like a freaking dot in the sky. It's basically right over, and it's like this little white dot that's like doodle, and then it's gone. At the same time that the freaking cow falls down.
It's like it got fucking puppeteered.
You know what? I have a theory on this. Okay, so first of all, we know the curses can be real. Like that, I mean, that not can be. It is real.
Sure.
I mean, uneducated people who are just being rebellious and think whatever. I mean, you could mess with a Ouija board one time and open up a whole portal that just stays until a professional closes it. I've experienced that before. But so here's the craziest thing to me is that clearly something happened. Something that was either not understood, but definitely people were aware that something happened. My guess is based on just comparing then to now. So currently, consciousness is elevating, people are waking up, and so the energies and the frequencies of people and the earth in general are raising, which is, I mean, we're getting more responses just all around, right? Better responses, we're more intelligent about it. But back, and I say back then, it hurts my age, but like it really wasn't, to me, it wasn't that long ago. But like, then people are still dealing with their very deep rooted, century old, instilled, moral beliefs and their belief structure and all that stuff, that is not even remotely possible on top of the stipulations. You might be crazy. So I think it's entirely possible. People were like, I'm going to wash my hands of this. We're going to block it off, whatever, leave it as is because we're not about that. But whoever did it probably, I mean, my theory is that they probably interacted with something that they were not able to comprehend because of those deeply rooted beliefs and that structure that they grew up in or, had been passed down through generations and just the time in general, depending on their, whether or not they were a rebellious person or not. Could entirely be that they just they lost their mind because they couldn't make sense of it. And that can drive you crazy in a sense where they try to gaslight themselves that it didn't happen, but they're fucking doing it.
Right.
They're conscious.
Yeah. They're either doing it or they're unconscious doing it, or they're I mean, honestly, the possibility is that somebody, like I said, opened a portal, or they did themselves. There's some kind of possession or demonic, influence going on, and they took a backseat to their brain where they're like they can see it, but they're not actually controlling it, and that also can drive somebody crazy to where they might continue to do it.
Right. And
That's my theory.
so the interesting thing
Crazy.
too then is,
Wild.
no, it makes perfect sense, right? You're going to try and explain away or deny things that you can't possibly compute in your
Especially then.
Right. So there was a gentleman by the name of Robert Bigelow who bought the ranch from the Shermans for $200,000, 500 acres for $200,000, right? And he gave it as science. He donated money to the government also, and was like, here, go check it out, go research, go figure out what the heck is going on with all of these sightings and things. And so he owned it from 96 to 2016. And here's the thing, right? They have documented over 100 different sightings or experiences that have happened on that ranch. But because it's not, scientifically quantifiable, they couldn't write anything on. They couldn't, write journals with these experiences. So you will literally, like the one I was watching today, the movie. They're like, well, and it's called NIDS, which is National Institute for Discovery Science. So Bigelow started this own organization because the government was screwing everything up. They weren't really doing anything.
Sounds like the government.
He
Right?
straight up contracted
Follow suit.
his own personal team of experts to
Yes,
to come out here.
he bought the ranch. Then he hired people. So one of the guys, his name is Colm Keller. He was actually the lead investigator for the NIDS. He and George Knapp ended up writing a book that was released in 2005. And George Knapp was the first journalist actually allowed to videograph on the ranch these things that were happening, and interviews. So he did several interviews with not only people that were on the ranch, but also some neighbors. And one story is super sad. There was a family who witnessed a UFO, is basically what they said it was, this cylindrical silver thing in the sky. And then shortly after that, her husband dies of cancer. Then the son comes down, perfectly healthy kid. The son comes down with this like random, it's not MS, I think he called it MDS. But he was perfectly healthy and then came down at a very young age, like in his 20s or something, with this thing that's not really common for people to have in his age. And his mom's like, it's so interesting because this is how they talk about it, right? Like, well, I don't really believe in aliens and paranormal and poltergeist. But then when they say, what do you think you saw? They're like, I think it was a UFO. It's like their mind.
Which is funny, because a lot of people forget that literally just means unidentified flying object.
Right.
Someone could throw a frisbee and not know it was a frisbee, and be like, "Oh, what's that? It's a UFO."
But
Right.
they
No,
also,
that's
I
crazy.
think in one of that instance, because I think it was actually this case with the boy that they actually was one of the reasons, like part of the debunk process and all that stuff, was to check the land for radiation levels as well.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So that's interesting too, right? Because so Brandon Fugel took over in 2016. So Bigelow actually sold it to a real estate conglomerate. I'm not sure if Fugel owns it or if it's just something that he works with, but he ended up with owning this ranch. And he is a rich dude, and he brought all the guns. Now, So this is Brandon's team that is doing the Secret of the Skinwalker Ranch series. Dude, amazing. Let me just tell you. Oh my God, the things that they do. Okay, so they brought it. I had to write it all down because I was like, I don't even know what half this equipment is. Like,
so right quick, I'm gonna do all of our people that are watching this a favor, and I'm gonna leave you with two fantastic ladies while I take a break real quick.
okay. So, why you got a fart or something? No, I'm kidding.
For your information, I had to take a pee.
Well, don't take us.
You know what? If it is a fart, I'm just glad he decided to step away.
So okay, so here's
Because I got more spice. Let me just scroll out.
Here's all the things they used, right? They use lasers, they use ground penetrating radar, they use drone thermography, just their own, what they saw with their own eyes, animal mutilations, and just other things that they just considered paranormal. Now it's fascinating. So I've been binge watching this series, and it's amazing to me the things that they're seeing. And because it's a lead scientist that's running this whole thing, and he has 87 PhDs or something. He's like an astrophysicist and all this, the physicist and that cyst and all the cysts.
So
he's
educated and definitely, a reliable source.
Yes, and very much
for purposes.
when they start out this together, he's very much like, all right, let's get in this and let's see what's going on, right? And so they tell a story of the ranch, one of the ranch managers. The story always goes, do not dig on Skinwalker Ranch. For whatever reason, the digging really, really angers whatever's there. So the one guy's like, meh, okay, whatever. And he just didn't really pay any attention to it. And so he was digging with one of those little low digging backhoe things. And he started to get a headache. And then he started to feel worse. He ended up in the hospital. He actually had a egg-sized knot in the back of his head that was fluid on in between the fatty tissue and the skull, and it actually caused him a bit of brain damage. He's doing okay, and he actually went back, but
wow, he went back.
Yeah,
Wow.
He's back. And so
that's really incredible.
So, and he was like, I'm going to be smarter about it, but I really want to know what the heck is going on.
Yeah, I would want answers too.
Well, in a sense too, is you go into a thing, and let's taking things as, this is supernatural, occurrences in any aspect and all that stuff, and the legend of the Navajo cursing the land is true. The last thing you want to do is dig on a cursed land.
Well, curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah.
So some people have morbid curiosity. Some people will run for the hills and be like, "No, fuck that."
It's true. I mean, there's scientists.
There's two types of people. Or fuck that.
Well, and this scientist is like, well, let's hit the hornet's nest.
And he's a scientist.
See what happens.
Their whole thought process, their way of thinking, is to question and to find answers.
But he just straight up put his fist right through it.
Well,
something that big.
So
would you put your fist through a wasp nest?
Yes, I would.
So
if I had good reason.
I've seen you around wasps. No.
No, I wouldn't. I absolutely wouldn't. But I'm not that kind of person.
So he's respectful of the people that are like, we are absolutely not digging here. And so they try everything. They do ground penetrating radar. They did do some drilling. And basically the ground broke the drill. They were like, we can't do this anymore because it's going to break our drill and the whole thing's going to fall over. And
I'm sorry,
so
we're people that are watching us, and you probably hear it. We're giggling because Bonnie
because
and I
if it wasn't for the gutter, our minds would be homeless, and I apologize for my inability to control myself.
Danielle said penetrate and shit like that.
And literally everything after that was just a dirty joke.
Our minds were already there.
So sorry.
I
am so sorry. Please forgive me. Oh God, Danielle. I need to step away for a second. I gotta get the giggles out. Give me just a second.
Choose your words more wisely.
Ground. I mean, that's what it's called. Ground penetrating radar.
Ground penetrating.
I don't know. GPR. It was the GPR that they used. And so I mean, you can't even imagine what this stuff looks like, right? Until you see it on the screen and they're looking at all these screens and all this different stuff. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
just like, what is all of this? And so they start doing all these different experiments with weather balloons and all different things. And really, I need like a whole nother 5 hours to like tell you all the things. So I highly recommend, if you find this interesting at all, to go watch that series, because the amount of scientific data that they are throwing at this thing and the different ways that they are doing it to test is just amazing. But they come to the same, a couple of different scientific things that they do come to this one particular spot. And so they thought, because of how their handheld different detectors were working, that
Mhm.
it was actually triangulating up and somehow communicating with something at the underneath the ground.
Yeah, because I think they even like, because they were getting that frequency, and I think like they even like, while they were doing that, like they even said like, there's something down here that's showing
Mhm.
up and we have no idea what it is. It's not anything that we recognize in any aspect whatsoever. It's absolutely insane. And
Right. And they say
like
it's like it triggers the machines that, and it looks to be like it's either metal, water, but it would have to be something very mineralized to be conducting the energy the way that it is. And yeah, metal or water or caverns. It's like
I don't
so empty
I don't know if
space.
this is if I'm remembering this right or not from when I watched this series. I don't know if like I think they when they brought in that stuff that the people didn't have enough pipe to like go down all the way. Like they ran out completely before they could even
Well,
really touch anything.
so the one group that was actually able, that brought the right drills, um, they have a specific tube, that, if you will, that they put down in the ground so that they can drill inside it. Well,
Hmm.
the water pressure, it was so strong underneath that it was collapsing the pipes, and they're like, we can't dig any farther
That's crazy.
because it's going to eat our
It's gonna
drill and
kill.
eat.
Yeah, it's gonna kill our drill.
Yeah,
That's
and
what it was.
basically like suck because the pressure of the water was so strong. Like, you could see it bubbling. They put the camera down inside and you could just see it bubbling up. And so they're saying that creates like a suction pressure almost
Mhm.
that would pull the drill down. But it did give them proof that there is water. But they've done several different experiments, and it's just amazing. And then the other night, the episode that I watched was phenomenal, because it like, I don't discount anything. I will say my time with Parachills has definitely enlightened me more to the whole UAP phenomenon. But this blew me away because it speaks like, and of course, if you talk to people, like Ashers and other people that are very familiar with these things, they say there's
Way
a
more familiar than us.
yeah, that there is a correlation between, and Ryan Tremblay,
Yes, thank you, Ryan.
that there's a correlation between the paranormal and all the cryptids and that stuff. And so it kind of makes sense. It's always like when people are talking about the Mothman, is it a cryptid? Is it an alien? Maybe it's both. I think
Is
it's
it a
super
superhero?
interesting. So they go and they so I'm glad Bonnie's back because she'll find this interesting. So what they did was they went and they got a rabbi to perform a ceremony. Now, what he said, this rabbi, what he said he was doing is he's giving a safe space. Basically, he found a big rock and then he put a perimeter of other rocks around it. And then he stepped inside and he did this whole chant thing. And basically, the ceremony was, he said, it gives whatever it is a safe space to come. And the chant and music that he was kind of singing uh, is like welcoming. Okay, so he's opening a portal basically, or
Mhm.
giving it permission to open a portal right there with this music.
Absolutely. That is full on permission. Yeah.
And not
So-
only on top of that, it's like you're also pretty much like in any aspect too, depending on how you look at it, you just created a fucking fairy circle too.
Well, right. And get this. So it's phenomenal. So, of course, these are researchers, right? These are full on science dudes. So they put up all kinds of infrared cameras and wow. So it's like lit up like a rainbow, you know, like it's cold, it's hot, whatever, depending on how
Of
high up
course.
you get.
Very,
So
very
Yeah, that's a
Katy
very
Perry.
powerful thing.
Very Katy Perry
So-
song.
He starts
Yeah, I got you,
doing his-
Danielle.
Yeah. He starts doing his little chanty thing, and all of a sudden the temperature changes, and you can just see the whole screen just start to go red. Then you see this like purple hole. It was amazing. And then I got
That's
chills.
incredible to capture that. That's incredible.
Yeah,
That's
and the guy,
definitely.
so the
he
guys
was
go,
casting something.
the guys go running down there,
Really
right?
fucking weird.
And they walk in. So there's three. They call them homesteads. One of them is still livable, and the current ranch hands live in it now. The other two are like just decrepit shells of the houses, because there's so much activity and even radiation that they've got with their little radio, like K2 meters, but for radio.
Radiation, yeah.
Yeah, and so they have those things and huge spikes.
I think it's called a millimeter.
A what meter?
A millimeter? Is it? I know.
don't
That's
I don't
that's
think so.
that's the little line on a ruler.
Yeah. That's
No, that's a millimeter. Like
a millimeter is a line on. Yeah, and then
I don't know. It's
Meter.
a meter of some sort. It
Yes.
picks up radiation.
Exactly. So they go running in, a couple of them, and what you see is like this, just an anomaly at the bottom of the screen is like, like it just goes like this little ball of something like at the ground level, and the colors are changing, and then the guys go, "Why is it?" So they walk into the building and they're like, "It's like 20 degrees colder in here than it was just outside." And he said it was like they hit a brick wall. Like they just literally walked right in, boom, like full blast air conditioning in a house that has no windows. I mean, you know, no walls.
Absolutely.
And
definitely.
so they're
Shocking
like,
yourself.
wow. Yeah. And then compasses start going nuts, like all kinds of stuff happens. So they try and replicate it. So they did it. I don't know if they did it 2 more times, at least 1 more time. And same thing happened, like rainbow on the, spectrums. And then they what they did was they recorded it, and then they took it back and they played it again, him doing that in the same spot. Sure enough, the exact same thing starts to happen. The colors start to just all go to red, and it's just amazing. And I'm like,
So I'm curious,
you
what were they
can't tell
summoning?
me. So so he wasn't particularly summoning
He didn't
anything
have any intention.
specific, right? But
No,
he
and
was.
that's bad.
Yeah, that's
That's
actually that's
bad.
how bad shit gets summoned is if you
That's-
don't have the specific intention and the necessary protection around you when you're doing things like
basically
this.
what he did is he granted everything and anything that
Permission
was
to come
in the
through.
area to come through.
And that is so dangerous.
Yeah. Don't do
Oh
this at home,
my-
folks.
No,
Don't
So-
ever.
So he was basically.
Education people.
And then he was actually saying, like this right here is a safe space to come through, and
So essentially he allowed it all to come through, but he enclosed it in a certain space.
His intentions were true. I mean, I can see it, like if it was ill intent and he basically just enclosed it inside of this circle, but in that sense
Even
too,
so, it's very dangerous.
but he just left it there, and he just left it there
An
because-
open portal? He left it there.
but yeah,
When
without
the-
closing it or anything.
He never did.
Yes.
Is there any record of him closing it?
I don't think so.
No, it's most likely probably still open because in that sense,
Oh, I
is
would be
that
so curious to go and find out. Actually,
they. I don't think like as far as like how like a lot of like priests and all that stuff are trained. In that sense is that they're not really trained to close the thing. They basically go in and be like, okay, I trapped it in this. Don't go around this, but it, and then just let anybody else know that that this is bad place. Don't touch this place. It's bad place.
Well, the thing is, I think so that I do believe that priests are trained in these kinds of things. I mean, that's part of what they do is, the whole demonic kind of shit and whatever. But I don't think because of their belief structure that they are able to be as educated as they would need to be. And so even if they did know how to close it, there's no guarantee that they could close it properly, because opening something like that is,
Well, especially,
I mean, that's next level.
Not knowing what you brought.
You don't
in.
know what you brought in, exactly, and you need someone
Because
who's experienced, who has gone beyond the veil
There's different
that divides,
for...
life and death and all of that. Like, you need someone who can walk on the veil, or like go beyond the veil, like a shaman who can see that and who can be able to look at it and feel that energy and that frequency and know what it is they're dealing with. And most priests are not equipped to deal with those things, the frequencies or the energy. I mean, that's definitely outside of their...
It's too much of a one-sided aspect when it comes down to it, because when you invite anything and whatever to come in,
oh god,
you don't know the religion, the backstory, or anything with it.
Well, you know what, demons don't have a religion though, and entities don't have a religion. They just come in, they prey on those opportunities of ignorance.
But there are different entities that revolve around different cultures and anything like that. And I guess that's really the standpoint is you don't know what culture it comes from. So, and in that standpoint, each culture has a way of actually dealing with these entities in a different manner.
That's true.
So, I mean, it's just like...
It all boils down to the same thing, but it's just different ways of going about it.
Because it's
but I don't think priests and stuff are equipped for that.
It's like the difference between a jinn and a demon. In all retrospect, they're the exact same thing. But also in that retrospect is... to be able to deal with them is in a completely different manner.
The other thing is, how do you know what you're dealing with? That's why it's almost like you need a full circle of different, backgrounds or
we need
belief systems.
A league of extraordinary exorcists. Just one exorcist from each fucking religion.
You need a witch.
Well,
you
right. Not even
a coven even.
Right. So I was going to say, not necessarily exorcists, but even just
somebody who understands
people with different backgrounds to validate like what's going on and what you feel and everything.
Yeah, people just conversing so that they can figure out what's similar, what's different, and then sort of not meet in the middle, but eventually
eliminate possibilities. That's the point. Is
you find the common denominator. You figure out
if we have multiple possibilities. We have multiple possibilities. You just start to go down and remove every possibility that you can until you get to the one that's like, okay, well, all of this stuff that's going on matches with this possibility.
I mean, there's a lot of places that still ban witchcraft. I mean, so it's, I mean, they take it, there's like old laws that people have, former friends of mine who have actually gone and like protested these laws. And it's so unfortunately, that it's not widely accepted as it should be. That, I mean, it's all different beliefs, whatever, but it is all real. And if there was ever a time of acceptance for that, I mean, sure. But there are people who are professionally trained in this kind of thing, like witches or shamans or what have you, that, I mean, they really, this is what they do.
Yeah.
And they go and they take care of things in the unknown because they're prepared. They can recognize it when they see it, even if they don't know what it is.
So what I'm hearing from you is we definitely need to go on this vacation.
I'm actually, so I have zero fear at this point. Maybe it's the morbid curiosity that killed the cat. I will happily be the cat that dies trying to figure out this shit. Because I would love to just feel out that energy and then be able to speak intelligently, like with the education of what that feels like. And just like, be like, okay, so here's what I feel like intuitively. This is what, I'm a very intuitive person, kind of, which that's my thing. And my intuition is never wrong. So I would really like to go.
I think, where is that? And I think it's in Utah.
Okay. That's not that far.
No. It's on the other side of the United States, dude.
Oh, I was thinking Ohio. Oh my God. Okay, but listen, I've never been there. So we'll just mark it off my bucket list as finally traveling somewhere else that's still not outside the country, but very much outside my comfort zone.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is close enough.
I mean, Utah is outside of anybody's comfort zone.
Well,
I can
right.
use the vacation, even
But
if
see,
it is to
here's
scare the pants off me.
Like in the
so
Mormons.
so what's interesting is I'm not sure that like people are like, watching this whole series. It's like, is there a spaceship underground? So here's what I think. I think that there's definitely water underneath, like caverns underneath there, and that is a huge conduit for energy, right? And so that is sort of the mirror for whatever is up here trying to
Not to mention whatever is buried in other history there.
Right. I mean, so what I have learned just from my time here and learning about the Native Americans here, they often took people this is so bad, but they took the enemies that they killed apart and then scattered their bones when they buried them, because they believed that when they come back, they couldn't come back, reincarnate, because their bones were not together. So they
Damn,
did that.
talk about
Yeah.
petty.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
they
hey,
did that. They
Skinwalker
did that,
skeletons coming up
and
in here.
yeah, and so who knows what's there?
Well, that definitely contributes. Honestly, it contributes to any kind of negative entity that could have come through. I mean, negative energy. That's
Well,
I want to go.
And you know what the thing is too is, like we're talking about manifesting, right? And if so, you calling this thing negative or malevolent in some way, then maybe it will be that way. Like we're talking, you just mentioned
Yes.
the jinn, right? And it's like elementals, the same premise. They're actually not really demons. They're
No.
protecting. They're protecting something, the land or a group of people or whatever it is. Usually it's the land. And so fairies, I mean, the fae, like they're known to be evil and whatever, but really it's like all of us. Like we're pretty cool people, but you mess with my kids and you're about to get the
Oh,
worst thing
absolutely.
you've ever seen.
I was just saying that today. I was like, I'm one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, but don't fuck with people I love.
Right. So it's sort of the whole, what are you here for? And if I think it's a bad thing, you're going to see the bad side of me. If you're here for studying and learning, because really they've experienced some radiation burns, but I think that was from legit radiation coming out of the ground.
Yeah.
But they haven't really been hurt themselves. Do you see what I'm saying?
No.
Like, and who
Right.
knows what the mutilation of the animals, they seem to go, they brought in llamas and it attacked the llamas.
Okay, so have you gotten to the episode where they showed the video of that? Yeah, I think you have.
Of the llama. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
llama
tore it up
content.
big time.
Have you ever heard a llama scream? It
It's
is
so
the
weird.
most horrifying thing that you could ever fucking hear. But
Really, even more than a banshee?
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, it's
It's almost like 1,000 babies crying.
Yeah.
At a
Like
high
Damien
pitch.
babies?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
But the whole thing is, it's like they they had the cameras rolling. Unfortunately, like it wasn't like they had security cameras rolling. I think that one security camera that was actually right on the pin shut down. Now, granted, they ended up like the other security camera that was a little bit like around the corner, but could still see the pin a little bit, was still rolling. And all you can see is just catch glimpses of just this thing, just like tall. Like, I mean, it came up probably about
Use the
for
crutch.
your
Here.
thing. Came up to
There you go.
about here on the crutch. So basically, like where we're standing.
That's
or where we're sitting.
roughly 2.5, 3 feet, maybe.
Yeah. So on,
a little less than
post,
3.
like, I mean, it was.
And
it
then
was a
like
big
the
deal.
cow. Yeah, and then like the cow, like you see you see
Yeah,
a
sure.
struggle, and it really is yanking on these animals, and then and the
I
cuts
should
and
really
stuff.
watch these videos. I feel like I should have watched them before.
That's okay.
Yeah, we
You can check it out for sure.
I definitely will.
Yeah, when
Absolutely. This is something I actually feel very
We'll
serious
sit down.
about.
Yeah, we'll
I
sit
would
down.
really like to make this
Fantastic.
little, not pilgrimage, but I would really like to go and figure out, I mean, just get an experience for it and just sort of
And in case
but
you know,
the thing
by
educate
any
a guest.
let's say just by chance, Travis, the main scientist, happens upon our podcast or our video. I think one of the anomalies is his hair because he's like, it's like all like he's doing the interview,
Oh,
like
I
the
live to
follow
see
up,
this.
the follow up thing, where they talk about whatever, and it's like all nice and done, and then he'll get outside, and then it'll be like a little bit, just a little bit puffy, and then at some point he's been outside all day, and it's literally like it's like a rooster,
Like
it's just
how?
all sticking straight up.
Travis is his name?
Yeah. And
Travis,
it's
if you happen to come across this video, please.
yes,
Please. We'd love for you to join us.
yeah,
I will happily come back on this anytime.
Just to see your hair,
Let me
Travis.
know.
That's
Not
all.
just the hair.
No. We
But
just wanna see
anybody
your hair.
with hair that can match to suddenly do this. I gotta know.
I know.
I
We're
just-
like,
I gotta
I
know
wanna-
you.
I want to see if we could get him on here and all that stuff, and just like the whole purpose of it really is just a social experiment for ourselves,
Oh,
just to see what happens to his hair throughout the entire hour
Is
of
it-
the podcast.
I really just. This sounds really cool though.
so
Like,
we
we'll be talking
were
to him, chatting him up, and then be like, just like as the end, like we'll put at the end of it, I'll put like the beginning of the podcast of him, and then the end of the podcast with him.
yes.
This is where his hair started. This is where his hair ended.
Like
we
the
were
before and after
joking last night. A friend of mine and I are watching it, and we're like, season 3. The team.
I'm jealous. I
learns
wish my
that
hair did shit like that.
the team learns that it's just Travis's hair that's been
Causing all the
reflecting light
anomalies.
this whole time.
Yeah,
Breaking news. Update.
his hair is causing a sun flare.
Yeah.
Listen, I want them
it's-
golden locks. If it's
Right?
causing a sun, I wouldn't.
Yeah. And it's
Ugh.
so there's
Can I
so
touch
much there's so much stuff that they experience, just like lights shooting up, coming down, glowing. I mean, it's just
I mean, it's
never
multiple-
before have I been in a state where I would be able to fully appreciate this experience. And also, I mean, I was very much run by fear, fear of, negative entities or whatever. I've always had, negative attachments, any kind of whatever, sometimes there were demonic attachments, and it wasn't like possession, but it was all, I mean, there were attachments, except for the one time. We're not going to talk about that. But
Oh, we're going to talk about
no, we're not going to talk about that. But I would really like, now with the awareness I have, the education I have, and most importantly, the just uncomparable belief in my intuition and where I've grown spiritually, I would really love to experience this and be able to give a real educated 2 cents on what I feel, what I see, and then of course consulting with, the beings that are beyond this realm, for answers and shit, especially with that moldavite. Like, wow. Can you
Yeah.
imagine?
Oh yeah, that'd be insane. I honestly I think if you took like any type of crystal there, I think you would pretty much hypercharge it, because I just think the area in itself is
I don't know about
basically-
hypercharging, but you definitely want to take your,
No,
smoky quartz
no.
for the negativity and
There is definitely like it.
grounding stones.
I don't think it's like. I think it's just a mixture of there's like positive, there's also maybe negative there. But
That's
like,
what I want to go to find out.
But like Danielle said, is that it all depends on how you get it. The energy that you put out is the energy you're going to get back.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's just in life in general.
Oh yeah, if you manifest negative for somebody, you put it out into the universe, you're getting it back.
Oh,
If
straight
not
up.
just, equal, it's gonna be threefold.
You cock an
So whoever
attitude,
cursed the land, I'm sorry for you, bro. Like you probably really reaped those rewards.
see, you cock an attitude with me, Karen, you're gonna get an attitude back.
The Karens of the spiritual realm.
But
oh god.
But with that,
I wonder
too,
what
it's
their
just-
hair
I
looks
just
like.
think- I think that the area around is just a highly charged place. Like I think like anybody that goes in
Yeah.
there, like you're automatically
You're gonna
your
feel it.
senses are gonna get supercharged. Everything's gonna get supercharged.
Absolutely,
Right.
it is.
And of
Especially,
course-
the magnetic fields of the Earth itself, like naturally and biologically changing. That's
Right. And
it's going to be even more intense now.
we always say our paranormal friends, whatever they are not trick ponies, right? It's not like,
No.
hey, I've just set up this thing and now you're going to make it blink or beep or whatever. or you're just gonna like. The more I say this about the house that we have that we take people on tours of and stuff, it's like the more these groups come in and demand, like their attitude is, you will do this for me, and I hear about all this stuff, and it's going to happen,
Yeah.
and then and I'm just like, pretty sure they're not going to get any evidence.
No, because the way to
And-
approach it is from a humble standpoint, from a
right,
grateful.
yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
And-
it's the same aspect of walking up to somebody that you want to talk to you on the street. If you go into them being like, "Hey,
Yeah.
fucker, talk to me, do this,"
Right.
they're gonna walk away
It
from you.
baffles me that a lot of people actually do approach these situations with such abrasiveness, whereas in real life, they probably wouldn't do that.
Right.
But
And
because you can't see this thing, that's your first you think you're big. It's the equivalent of hiding behind a screen. Essentially.
Right. And I really do try and tell people, like, when I am, teaching them about the equipment and, how to approach things, I'm always like, you have to do it out of respect. You have to, be patient, and definitely, don't be talking trash to them.
Definitely don't be talking trash.
trash.
The biggest thing is to clear your mind of expectation. Expectation and desire
Yes.
are the two things you cannot have when you're going into anything that is beyond this realm, beyond what we can see. It's expectation and desire. I mean, it's going to warp whatever
Right.
message you get.
Right.
You have to have a pure open mind and a true state of just, almost nothingness to be able to receive a genuine message and be able to decipher it the way it was meant to be. Otherwise, you put your own filters on it and you
Right. And a lot of us
misconstrue it.
have grown up, our entire lives being told that ghosts aren't real, and things that you hear that you can't see aren't real, and it's all your imagination, and
It's all tangible, or else it doesn't exist.
Right.
Well,
So
and
then
also-
why you would expect to just walk into a place and be like, okay, ghosts.
Because Hollywood.
Well,
It's-
because
it's-
Hollywood, and because they probably don't actually believe. And so what they're doing is testing their boundaries, very much like a toddler throwing a tantrum who looks at you and if you're like, don't touch that. And they're just like,
I'm gonna touch that.
Hey, that's
But-
like Luna. Luna, what are you doing?
what do you mean?
Keppa.
What do you mean?
What do you
But-
mean? I just knocked over your
this?
microphone. I don't know what you're talking
What does
about.
this button do?
And it also it
Mhm.
irritates me with like these types of people because the thing is like they the evidence is there in majority of bits. It's just not the evidence that they want to see. What they want to see is a full body apparition stand in front of them, disappear.
It's
Or
the
something being
expectation.
thrown
If you
at 'em.
don't eliminate the expectation, you cannot accept what it truly
Absolutely, yeah.
is. And
Right.
that's just the bottom line of all of it. Expectation is, the death of reality.
Right.
You can never see reality or anything for what it is if you have an expectation of what it should be.
Yeah. When I had kids, I lowered my expectations on life. I was just like,
Oh my God.
there's
It
There-
took me a couple of them, but they're lowered. Now I expect hell, and I'm not disappointed.
uh-huh.
We
Yep.
are very grateful for the good days.
Oh, so grateful.
so grateful.
So grateful.
And as they get older, there are more of the calm days, I should say.
Truth. But there's also then the fact that they start to reflect who you are
Mm.
and give your sass right back to you.
Or
Yeah.
give you your own shit-eating grin back at you. My son has a shit-eating grin.
Oh, he do.
He do.
But then he also has the crazy laughter where he'll stand in the doorway for no apparent reason,
that's
show up
you.
out of nowhere, and laugh like a fucking lunatic. Like he's about to plot your like he's already seen how you're gonna die, and he's just loving it.
Mhm.
That's me, and then the shit-eating grin is you. And I apologize. He got the best and the worst of us. Knock it down. Fuck
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Don't fuck with our kids.
That's right.
But Damien, he lives up to his name. I wish I'd known about the Omen before I named this child. I feel like I gave him this personality.
That was
It's the intention.
That was the
Right.
only time that I withheld information.
You already knew, yeah.
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 Ah,
Yeah. I got to pick his middle
Oh.
name.
which is
Blaine.
Blaine. Yeah, that's nice.
So fancy. I wanted to name him Vincent, but that's too cheesy. Vincent Valentine.
Price.
Shut up. A lot of
Vincent
all
from
nerds
Final
out
Fantasy.
There, all nerds out there just fucking realize and fucking just face palmed themselves. But
I do it on the
we
daily.
are coming to a close to this. It's past midnight for us here.
Oh shit, it is.
Yeah.
It's almost 1 o'clock.
So, just real quick before we go off of here, Bonnie, do you want to? You're very consistent on your social media platforms.
I'm working on it.
I want you a little plug. I help produce her stuff.
Yeah.
I do so much. I'm so awesome.
Hella team right here. I'm the what do we call it? The talent, the sort of creator, but this is the talent behind the talent.
I'm the cheerleader.
Yeah. But
Can we get you a uniform?
Yes.
Can
I get you a T-shirt?
Oh no, uniform.
Uniform.
Yeah.
Name tag and everything.
No.
No name tag.
Cheerleader uniform.
Oh, I was gonna.
Pom poms.
Pom poms.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Black
and red.
Yeah.
Yes!
Fair fucking play, bud. Nice. But real quick, do you want to tell people where they can find you? And
sure. Instagram and TikTok, Siren Song 2.0. Those are my tags, and I'm working on being consistent. Lots of exciting content actually that he's producing. We are creating together, but
just like the reason why we took a hiatus from the podcast, I broke my leg, so I haven't been able to do much.
Yeah, we were working on some really baller content when we were about to kick it off, and it did set things back. But we're just glad you're alive.
Yes,
so.
I got hit. I got in a fight with a car.
Got in a fight with a car, and
you won.
Car won.
It's perception. No, it's all about you won.
I got a good headbutt in, and then
you're hobbling on a crutch. One crutch. You're one crutch man.
I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure the car would remember calling somebody, and I did not.
Perspective is everything.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sure
no, but we are definitely coming out with some really awesome content, so bear with us during this recovery. For sure.
Oh, you guys think, okay.
We think you won, so that's all there is to it.
As long as everybody else thinks I won, that's all that counts.
Yeah.
That's right. So yeah, go check her out. You'll like it.
And as always, guys, I'll always make sure I put the link in the description below. So make sure you guys go down below, check out the links for her here. It's Siren Song 2.0. And even before I started stepping in and all that stuff, she got some fantastic content. She's funny and creative in her own right. She doesn't really need me. I'm just here to kind of help. Push her along. My
biggest cheerleader and supporter for sure, but definitely the one who's put the fire under my ass and encouraged me to really take my talent. Take my talents up there and try to put them out there. So
going to Utah.
We're going to Utah.
That's next.
We're going to Utah. Man. We're going to save up some money. We're going to Utah.
Fuck yeah. Stay tuned for that special. Oh my God.
We're with us, and we're going to leave them there.
Intense, but what? Well, Damien should be the one to talk to these fucking spirits. He can bet you he speaks their language.
Probably. He'd be like, they said.
He would fuck up to them so hard. No, he would. He would be like, what?
No. He would literally fucking go
the table
and talk to them, and then he would come back to us, and he'd be like, but it's Damien
what's that? Incoherent nonsense. Yes, and then absolutely. Whiny sirens.
He said we were wimpy aliens.
Wimpy kitty baby whiners. That's what that stands for.
Oh my God. I love our podcast.
This is fun. Thank you guys for having me on here. This was so much fun.
Bonnie, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on here.
Thanks for joining us.
I'd like to join more often whenever I can. This is going to be this is really fun.
But
definitely that trip.
Guys, now you guys got a if you're listening to this on audio, you got a voice to the person that I have been talking about for the past 2 episodes.
voice.
And if you're watching this, you are being able to see and hear, my best friend, my twin flame in the flesh.
Yeah.
Aw, getting all sappy.
Shut the fuck up.
What's up?
Shall I?
What's up? Ring the bell.
Ring
baby.
that bell.
Until next time.